topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Who is January Jones? She is not a young, beautiful, talented actress on Mad Men. She is not an older, gorgeous, exotic dancer from the Johnny Carson Show. She is an author, and she wrote Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th Commandment, that reached #1 at Amazon.com. She is a reality TV golf personality with World High Stakes Golf televised on HDNet. She is a humorist and winologist expert. She is your featured host today on January Jones Sharing Success Stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and listen to Ms. Jones with her eclectic roster of guests as you learn life's lessons. These stories plus sharing equals success. Welcome, and remember, beware, because you are entering the no whining world of January Jones.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to get better today. I'm January Jones, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast. As you can see, I'm working on my new brand, the Rhinestone Granny, but now it's kind of becoming the Glitter Granny. This week, it's a purple hat. And as you can see, I have a lot of hats. So each week, we're going to do a different color. Hats are memorable, or so I'm told. And, you know, a long time ago in vaudeville, they even had a great song that was entitled, Where'd You Get That Hat? It's an inspiration for me. But the reality is I love wearing hats because then I don't have to do my hair. Now for my listeners, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wished you could talk to your pet? Well, if you're like me, I talk to her all the time. I'm not sure she's listening to me sometimes, that's for sure. Would you like to learn more about what it's like to communicate with animals? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to hear from your pet who has died? The pets that we miss. I know I have my pet's picture on the wall and think about her all the time. Do you wish you could meet someone who could help you reach out to the animal world? Are you ready to make some big changes in your life? If you can answer yes or maybe to any of these questions, then you are in the right place. And I'd like to welcome you to January Jones Sharing Success Stories today. Now it's time to rest, relax, go get some cheese and crackers, and join me in the no whine zone. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. She is an internationally acclaimed animal communicator and author who has been helping animals and their owners all over the planet to coexist in harmony and to communicate. The best way to solve any issues with your pet is to simply have a conversation, and my guest has the unique ability to do so. Her first book, Afterlife of Animals, has been on the top 100 on Amazon since its release in 2020. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show today, Candy Kane Cooper. Hello, Candy. How are you today?
I'm great, January. It's great to be here with you today in the no whining zone. I needed one of the glitter granny hats today. That would have been perfect.
Well, I'm hoping this hat thing catches on because it certainly is great for any age, especially if you don't want to mess with your hair.
Exactly.
I've been looking forward to this show. In this past year, we lost our beloved dog Zoe, and
Mm.
we had her with us for 12 years, which was too short a time. And after we lost her, we just looked at each other and said, "Oh, we never could go through this kind of pain again." Well, within a month, we have our new puppy with us.
Oh,
And
okay.
our new puppy is quite a communicator, and she talks to us all the time. She makes all sorts of noises, and she definitely seems to be able to communicate. Do you find this true with most animals?
Yes, I do. But they all have their own separate, unique personality. Some of them are very outgoing, and some of them are a little more introverted. And I start a session, and if I'm reading like a whole family of animals, there's usually one that busts through right away and says, "Me first." And 10 times out of 10, the owner says, "Oh, well, that figures," because they know that particular animal's personality. They're the most boisterous, outgoing, So yes, yeah.
Well, I'm curious to know where your success story began, where you were raised, and who your early mentors were, and especially how you discovered this unique ability to communicate with animals.
Well, it all started, I was born this way, and it didn't seem like I was, different because it was just natural for me to always hear the animals. I grew up in West Hollywood, California, and I was always bringing animals home. My mom never cared, which was, unique for living in Hollywood. Uh,
Mhm.
ditch school and hitchhike up to the Hollywood Hills and wash horses just to go riding back in those days. That kind of stuff was normal. And I even had a secret horse that my parents didn't know about. This day, they never knew. But the way it all began was as I got a little bit older, then I started to realize that I was very different from other teens my age. And then I just started to kind of go inward and not really talk about it because it was so different.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So then as I got older, it just wouldn't leave me alone. I mean, hearing the animals, this, that, and I started to investigate it with one of my horse trainers. She knew about it, and she said, you really have to do something with this." And she took me to this group session with uh, Amelia Kincaid. I think that was her name, animal communicator. And we sat in a group, and she said, "I'm going to bring a dog in with its owner, and I want all of you to write down what you think the dog is saying." And as soon as the dog walked in, I heard him say, "Hi, everybody. My name's Bosco." And so I wrote that down and asked a few questions, personal questions about the dog that only the owner knew the answers to. And we went around the room, and I was the only one that got everything right. And she said to me, "And you're here why? You have the gift." And I was like, I mean, not to sound egotistical, but it's like, "Yeah, I know, but okay. Yeah, I heard him." Yes. And I thought, okay, this
And now, how
patient.
old were you when this event happened?
I was not that young. I was in my late 30s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
So this was something that you discovered later in life, but you probably always felt comfortable around animals.
Yes. I mean, I always knew it, but you don't go around telling people you hear the animals talk. So
Yeah.
then I was learning hypnotherapy, and I was, saying to my mentor, Erin Nash, this wonderful psychotherapist, "Am I schizophrenic? I'm hearing these voices. I'm not
Yeah.
sure." And
Wow.
he had me do these different types of tests and things. And he
Uh,
said, "Just go out and talk to the animals. Just do it. Just do it." And he gave me the confidence, plus my therapist, my other therapist.
that's a good plan when doing something
Really, because I jumped ship. I abandoned my whole life, my whole other career. I had very successful businesses throughout my whole life.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I'm going to talk to the animals now. It
Okay.
was a little scary.
Well, so, this is something that's been a part of history. And I remember many years ago the delightful movie, Dr. Dolittle.
Yes.
And of course, he was busy talking to animals. So there must be a reference to this, a history of this happening to other people besides you. Is that a possibility?
Yes, I would say yes. I mean, people ask me about it, and I say it is exactly like the movie. When I walk in a room, I hear their voice. A lot of communicators go off intuition or body language. I don't ever even look at the animal when I'm communicating with them, mostly because the animals I work with are all over the world. So I
Uh-huh.
just do it remotely over the phone through telepathy.
Wow.
Um, I have met maybe, I'm going to say, two other people in my lifespan here at 65 years old that I believe uh, do what I do or can receive the animals on that frequency.
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very rare. That's why I wanted to have you on the show, curiously, because I do feel that you can communicate with
Mhm.
other spirits. And I recently had a session with a psychic who communicated to some of my relatives who have passed. And
Nice.
it's amazing because she knew things that I don't know how she knew.
That's it. And people say, well, how do you know it's real? And I say, well, I know it's real because I have thousands of clients for over 20 some odd years now. Sometimes people will call me 7, 10 years later. They remember our session and
Oh
they
my.
need help again. So
Mhm.
that, really is validation. When you hit it, you hit it, You can't be a fake and have an actual career. People will like that. Yeah.
Well, right now we're going to take a break. And
Okay.
this is for people who are, if you are a whiner, or if you know someone who is a whiner, this commercial is just for you.
Lately, there's a whining epidemic in our world. People are even whining about whining. Are you sick and tired of listening to everyone whining all the time? So was January Jones, the author of Thou Shall Not Whine, the 11th commandment that reached #1 at Amazon.com. Ms. Jones based her book on a survey of the top 10 things that people whine about at all ages and all stages of life. January is a success coach that can tell you how to help others. When you buy Thou Shalt Not Whine, the 11th commandment, you'll find out what people whine about and how to stop them from whining. This is the perfect gift book to give or get for any occasion. Thou Shalt Not Whine was voted the best gift to be given anonymously for those special people in your life. Ms. Jones is an internationally known author in the style of Irma Bombeck, specializing in housewife humor with her book being published in Korea and China. You can find Thou Shalt Not Whine at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to the No Wine Zone with my guest today, Candy Kane Cooper, who is not a whiner. She has
No.
assured me of that because guess what? She's a real winner. And
Well,
Candy, before we go on with the podcast, could you share with my listeners some information, your contact information, your website, and give your book a plug too?
oh, thank you. Yes, the best way to reach me is just directly through my website, which is my name, CandiCane Cooper.com. And you just click on contact me and I will get the information. Um, and you can ask me anything you want. You can book a session, whatever's on your mind. Just go ahead and email me and I will message you back within 24 hours. If your matter's urgent, just put that in your message because my phone, it's even on right now. It's on 24/7 for emergency calls.
Oh,
I
wow.
never, ever, ever turn it off.
Okay. So now
Oh,
that's
and my book. Here's my new book.
The Afterlife of Animals,
Yes,
right?
you can get it on Amazon. Okay.
Is it in Audible yet?
No, my next book, I'm gonna start writing this winter, and
Uh-huh.
it will be, but it's on Kindle.
Oh,
but
okay.
animal,
Perfect. Wonderful. And we'll be putting that information on the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So if you're listening, write it down, and this may be something you might want to pursue. Now, when you talk to an animal,
Mhm.
what do they sound like? Do they sound like small children, or do they sound like wise old souls?
Yes, and yes, and sometimes they have accents. It's fascinating, and the owners always want to know what the animal sounds like. So right away, I tell them. Some of them sound like sexy Southern. Some
uh,
sound like young teens, and it also gives me a good insight into their personality. Which you're a people person. Hearing the voice also is an expression of what the soul is about. So it
mhm.
can be a very young dog, but sounds very old. So it's like, oh, it's a very wise caretaker type personality, or it could be a very an older animal that's young and spunky.
Uh-huh.
So all across the board, very different. And language is never a barrier. When it's translated into my mind, it's in English.
Okay, yeah, that was the
Mhm.
next thing I was gonna ask you
Yeah.
because, if you were calling in, I know your practice is throughout the world,
Yes.
and you speak to people everywhere, and so I wondered about that, if someone
Right.
called in from Spain, if it would be a Spanish-speaking dog.
Yes, yes. Just a few times I had a Spanish-speaking horse, and I had a French-speaking, dog, and
Uh-huh.
I do understand a little bit of both of those languages, but as soon as I told them, this is very important, then I was hearing them in English, so it was worked out.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I think the message there is that when a communication from the other side comes through,
Oh,
the
yes.
important thing is that it comes through and it knows how to come through. And it comes through in different ways to different people. And that is, of
Right.
course, the gift that you have. Now, do you sometimes spend times with animals who
Mhm.
are passing over and leaving? Because when our dog was leaving, she would come up to me and look me in the eyes, and she was saying, "What is happening? I am frightened." She
Mhm.
wanted to just, go into my soul to be comforted. And
Mm.
what a
Gotcha.
wonderful gift for you to be able to do that. I think I comforted my dog, but I'm not
Yes. Yeah, it's a very big part of my practice, and since my book's been published, even more so now, which I love because, as I say in my book, I think it's the most intimate moment you can spend with your animal is when they transition. You spent their whole life with them, and why not right up to the very moment? So I work with a vet here in Los Angeles, and I make house calls with him as he, does the procedure for home euthanization. But I
sure.
also do it remotely with so many of my clients. They can be, in the hospital with their animal or at home, wherever they are, uh, and I help them transition in the moment.
Mhm.
I actually cross over with them and let them settle gently, and then I come back.
Yeah. Well, usually I ask my guests how the pandemic has affected their lives and their careers, but obviously, from your way of doing things, you were probably ahead of the curve on the pandemic as far as communication.
I was it was crazy. I was so booked up the last few years because everybody being home. The only positive side, I mean, the pandemic was horrible, of course, but I think it brought a lot of human caretakers closer with their animals and appreciating them because they were home with them and not going to work every day.
Yeah,
So it was great in that respect.
for sure.
And I think they learned a lot, being with them all day long. And then when everybody went back to work this year, then I had to deal with a lot of separation anxiety issues because they got so used to being with their humans,
Huh?
they didn't want to be alone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's really sweet. It was really sweet. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and that's the wonderful thing about a pet, they just love being with you. And of
Mhm.
course, to experience their unconditional love is such a gift, especially for people as we age. It's
Yes,
incredible to have that little happy puppy waiting for you every time you walk through the door. Um,
exactly.
Now, what do you do with owners? How do you help them get through it? And what do you do with them after their pet has left?
Well, a lot of them get a huge amount of relief if we when we communicate after the animals crossed over. Sometimes they're carrying guilt for many reasons.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they weren't there when the animal crossed. Maybe they feel like they didn't do enough to, you know, keep them alive. Basically, all different issues. Didn't spend enough time with you, so they get to talk out all their issues, and the animals never lie. So sometimes it can be a bitter pill for them to swallow.
Mhm.
It's not like the cure all, but at least it answers the questions that are weighing heavy in their heart. But most of the time, it's very cathartic for the owners to just know that the animal loved them. They always ask me, did they have a good life? What did they think? Or what was their favorite time with me? What was their favorite thing they did here? That kind of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
and that gives them confirmation too.
Comfort. Oh, yes, right. Confirmation and a lot of comfort knowing that their animal's happy on the other side.
Hmm. Yeah, that is comforting. You
Yeah.
know, right now we're going to take a break and hear about some books that I've written.
Beautiful.
My books are Who Do You Think Killed Kennedy? Who do you think had the money, the motive, and the means?
Hmm.
Let me ask you a question. Are you still wondering who killed Kennedy? Over 50 years later, the assassination is still a mystery. It is unfinished business for our country. Now, get ready for a theory that you've never heard before, but will make more sense than any other conspiracy theory that you've ever heard in the past. January Jones speaks the unspeakable in her book, Jackie, Ari, and Jack, The Tragic Love Triangle, connecting Jackie and Aristotle Onassis romantically prior to JFK's assassination. Did you know that Ari was Jackie's guest in the White House during the JFK funeral? He was the only non-family member who was invited by Jackie to stay there during the funeral. Aristotle Onassis was one of the wealthiest men in the world, with the means, the motive, and the money to order an assassination that was the perfect crime of the last century. Ari needed class, and Jackie needed cash. They were perfect for each other. Now, what is Camelot? It is but another tragic love triangle. Jackie, Ari, and Jack is available at JanuaryJones.com, Amazon.com, and audiobooks.com, read by Ms. Jones.
Welcome back with my guest, Candy King Cooper. Now, I want to stress too for our listeners that you also deal with dogs that are dealing with issues that aren't related to passing over,
Yes.
and that a lot of the animals have health issues. Could you share some stories about animals that you have helped to heal?
Oh, yes. It's so rewarding. I work with all animals in this area, and obviously, I'm not a vet, but I can get an insight into any type of physical pain, also emotional, mental, anything that's going on with the animal. So, a lot of times, the caretaker might be stumped, or the vet can't exactly figure out what's going on. And I
Mhm.
just had a session yesterday morning with a very well known animal trainer, and vet could not figure out what's going on. And right away, I feel the pain in my body where they feel it.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
very easy for me to explain where it is. Of course, again, technical, I'm not a vet, but she is a body worker. So she's very familiar with all the parts of the body, the meridians, all that. And she said, that's exactly what I thought. But the vet kept saying there's no sign of any damage there.
Uh-huh.
So she was going to go have x-rays done in that particular area, which they missed. And lo and behold, that is the area of damage. So things like that, uh,
Mhm.
how would I know? I only know because the animal expresses the pain to me and then I feel it.
They could
It's
just,
not magic, it's give and take, it's conversation. And again, some animals are more in tune with their bodies like we are. So the more in tune the animal is, the better they make me look.
now, just for our listeners, you don't just treat dogs, you treat all different kinds of animals. And this ability you have is pretty much like Dr. Doolittle. You can talk to all the animals.
Animals,
Tell
yeah.
us about the largest animal that you've communicated with, and then the smallest one.
The largest animal that I work with would be a giraffe.
Oh,
A giraffe that was having some issues with eating,
uh-huh.
and turned out that she's local here, and she had ulcers.
Oh,
So they fixed her tummy issues and
hmm,
no more problem eating.
oh
Uh,
my. Mhm.
Smallest animal I've worked with, let me think, would be, wait, not rats. Would it be rats? Uh, well, I work with little, uh, not a cricket, but they're grasshopper. I
Oh,
work with
okay.
a grasshopper.
Oh, like Jiminy.
Yeah, like Jiminy Cricket. Yeah, I think he would be the smallest animal that I worked with.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh, wow.
yes.
And to share with us some of the most memorable animals that you've had the honor and pleasure of helping.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's one animal in particular that I've worked with for years. Well, the human caretaker. I work with all her animals. And
Uh-huh,
basically, I work with her almost every day. And I have another client that has an amazing Sphinx cat named Princess Ruru Lake.
okay.
And she wears all these fantastic outfits. And her human caretaker every week or so sends me pictures of
Mhm.
all her outfits for the week.
Uh-huh,
Sometimes they go away to their cabin. And I actually asked her if I could have permission to talk about her today because I thought you might ask me this question. Uh,
okay.
so if you're watching, Nevi, we're talking about your girl. And what I do is I have a little conversation with Princess Ruru about which outfits she wants to wear for the week. And we pick out sweaters, pants,
Uh-huh,
hats. And she also wears these exotic different colored nail caps on
uh-huh,
her paws, like
uh-huh,
nail polish. It's so beautiful. And that is really so much fun. So much fun. And, then on the other side, I work with this other client of mine almost every single day. And it's just been an amazing journey with her for the last 7 years. She's a professional uh, rider, uh, moving up to Olympic status.
uh-huh.
And so there's lots of trials and tribulations every day. And, with training and her horse's health and this and that. And that's been a great journey with Sue. If you're watching, that's you with Sue and all her beautiful equines. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Mhm.
Now, when an animal crosses over,
Mhm.
what is it like over there? What is it like for them? Are they I hope they're like in a great big puppy park, because we take our puppy to the park every day so she can play with other animals. What is it like for animals when they cross over? And do they have separation anxiety the way humans would?
That's a great question. Uh, First off, it's extremely beautiful. I pretty much go there every day, more or less. I'm sure I get a reading, where I'm on the other side.
Mhm.
The colors are brilliant and bright. It's gorgeous. Sometimes the animals are, in the mountains, at the lake. Sometimes they're out in the atmosphere, flying around. The desert.
Mhm.
It's just all in nature and beautiful. And they're all very happy when they get there because they all know about it. And it's just an extension of their energy. Do they miss us that much? I have to say, not really. Um, and that can be a little disappointing because we miss them in a different way,
Uh-huh.
especially if it's a larger animal, just the presence, of your large pet not in your home anymore. It's a big hole in your heart, but they're
Mhm.
all doing all kinds of different things. So not too often do they miss us that much.
Yeah, as I suspected, we probably miss them
Mhm.
more than they miss us.
Yes.
Do animals have the ability to send messages, to give warnings, or to help people with decisions?
Yes. A lot of times I'm asked, do they have a special message for me when
Mhm.
we're talking on the other side? And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But they do make themselves present in our dimension or our reality. A lot of times you might just see them quickly out of the corner of your eye, or you might feel them pressing, up against you or sitting on your lap. One of my clients said she was on her computer. She saw for a second her cat run across the computer and she said, "Hey." And then he jumped on her lap and she felt the claws in her thighs. It's just very great. A lot of my clients hear their canines barking in the morning when they first wake up.
Okay, all right.
There's all different, there's many, many. In my book, I have a lot of different examples of things that people interpret as messages, which can be feathers. You might find a feather, or you might keep seeing something that relates to your animal while you're driving, or that day over and over again.
Uh-huh.
There numbers, things like that. Hmm.
It's nice when it's very specific because that really
It
helps it
is.
with
It is.
that.
I had one client. He's very ill. He was getting ready to transition. And his wife told me, and I had been working with their cat, another feline, for many years that had just transitioned.
Uh-huh.
And I hope that, Oscar will be there when I cross over.
Wow.
She said, I wasn't there, but she told me afterwards, her husband, right before he passed, sat up in the bed and said, "Oscar, I love you," and grabbed him like this and went back down and he passed on.
Oh, wow.
That
Wow.
was pretty
That's
heavy.
yeah, that's pretty amazing. Right now, we're gonna take a break and hear about 2 other books I've written, books that are, some priceless personalities, unforgettable people that we've interviewed. And when we come back with Candy, I'm gonna bring my puppy, Ginger Ale, in to say hi to Candy. We'll be
Okay.
Have you ever met someone who was unforgettable? Someone who has touched your heart and soul? People who have faced difficult problems? People who have struggled to find solutions? People who fearlessly shared their stories? People who have not only informed you but inspired you? People who have priceless personalities? I have been fortunate to host an internet radio talk show called January Jones Sharing Success Stories, and it has been my privilege to interview hundreds of guests. My guests have shared their stories, their struggles, their secrets, and their successes in their own words. In this book, we're talking about people dealing with problems such as incest, molestation, runaway kids, child abuse, drug abuse, polygamy, unemployment, scandal, and starting over. Then there are my guests dealing with difficult physical struggles such as blindness, cancer, and birth defects that are beyond traumatic. My guests have all been exciting, eclectic, and energizing. They have amazed, amused, and even astonished me. I have adored getting to meet them, and I adore sharing them with you.
Attention all listeners. Priceless Personalities, Success Stories Shared by January Jones, Volume 2 is now available at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle editions. You'll be able to meet 10 amazing people who will be sharing their own personal stories with all their struggles, successes, and solutions, sprinkled with lots of humor and hope. Priceless Personalities features a teenager who becomes one of the famous Supremes from Motown, a nurse who as a humorist helps people to heal, an inspiring laughter yoga instructor, a mother dealing with the loss of a child, an incredible motivational speaker, a woman who married 5 times, a gifted paranormal nurse, a wise economist, a funny female humorist, along with an older man sharing his sweet childhood in the Deep South. January's guests are all amazing and amusing. You will never forget meeting them. Go to Amazon.com for your own priceless experience.
Well, hello.
Oh, hi, beautiful.
Cindy, I'd like you to meet Ginger Ale.
Hi,
And
Ginger.
oh, she's looking right at you. She's 11 months old, and she has brought joy into our lives and made us smile again, which is probably puppies and dogs, animals. That's their biggest mission in life, don't you think, is to help us?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I love my job. I mean, every day I'm so fulfilled. I'm a happy girl. I'm a happy girl working with the animals every day. They're so beautiful, each and every one of them.
Mhm. Well, that makes you a priceless personality too. And now, when we reincarnate, do people come back as animals, or do animals come back as people? And how does that go?
Well, I've been asked that question a lot of times because people feel that they're like you. Maybe your new pet has, same personality or traits as their other pet that has crossed over. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I have not really ever met a reincarnated animal.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't say that it's not
Uh-huh.
right now. I don't know. I don't know everything about the afterlife. But personally, the only thing that I came close to experiencing that was I had a vision of many years ago of a horse that was actually a Chumash Indian chief
Oh, uh-huh.
living in my neighborhood. I live up in Chatsworth here, and it's all Chumash country. But
Uh-huh.
that's the closest I've come ever to like a reincarnation type scenario. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would think there's, in general, in my opinion, so highly evolved that I think they probably, hopefully, come back as people who can who can make a difference, and people who work for animal rights, animal
Yes,
animal activists. I can
yes,
imagine that would be enticing. Uh,
yes.
these highly evolved spirits to come back and be with us and help us and help other animals. I think that would be wonderful if
That
that.
would be wonderful. Yes, I'm vegan, of course. I would never eat my clients. That's a horrible thing, of course.
Mhm.
And I'm an animal activist as well. But my clients always say to me, my dog or my animal, is so spoiled. When I come back, I want to come back as him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I hope it's true. I just haven't met one yet, like I said, but maybe I will.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
looking forward to it.
keep
Yeah,
me in the loop if that happens,
I
because
will.
I definitely want to have an interview about that. Now,
Okay.
you're doing sessions. What is the most stressful session that you do with
Hmm.
animals?
My most stressful session, I do a lot of runaways, and it involves all kinds of animals, birds, dogs, cats, squirrels. I mean, you name it. I track it. And the stressful part for me is the human caretaker,
Oh,
not the animal. Oh, maybe she wants to talk.
Okay. Oh, just 1 second. Ginger's still.
Okay.
Talk about communicating. Let me close
Yes.
this door.
Okay.
I think it's
I have to tell
probably.
you, she did say one thing to me when you put her on the camera for a minute there, and
Oh,
this might seem bizarre to you, but she said she would like to have some fish, like tuna or I don't know.
Okay. Wow, her wish is my command.
Yeah, see? Give her a little tuna and see what that's what I was tasting. So
And it's funny because I've been trying different things with her, chicken and
oh,
beef, and I've been trying. I even gave her some turkey ham
oh, okay.
to see
Try
if
some
she likes.
tuna and let me know because she's craving that. I don't know.
Okay, well, and I'm a big tuna fish eater too, so
Well,
we'll
there
have
you
tuna
go.
together.
And
Now,
her favorite color, she said, is purple. Her favorite color is purple, which you are wearing today.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's interesting. I'll have to get her a purple bandana for sure.
That'd be great.
I think we're having a UPS delivery at the
I
door.
think so. That's okay.
It hasn't quite mastered that.
My animals are always barking in my sessions. It's no big deal.
Okay, well, it's wonderful. Of all the sessions for her to interrupt, this is a good
Of
one.
course.
Now,
Yeah, that's very stressful when I'm working with a runaway because the human is very anxious and their anxiety is not very helpful because the animal is in distress. So they're kind of in survival mode. But it is so rewarding, when we have success and I get the animal back. I had one animal that was going blind and deaf. And I was like, oh my goodness. But it didn't really matter because I'm communicating through my mind. And when we got her back, oh my goodness, she has referred me to so many of her. It's been wonderful because, that was kind of a miracle. I wasn't really sure I was going to be able to get her back, but we did. The same day we got her back.
oh, wonderful.
Mhm.
I would imagine it must be so stressful for you when you would go into an animal shelter or if you were exposed to large groups of animals that are in stress. What do you do for yourself? How do you just stress yourself? And also, how many animals do you actually have yourself?
Well, I used to have a big animal rescue.
Oh,
It's a nonprofit I started in 2009,
uh-huh.
and we rescued and rehomed over 600 large animals,
Okay.
horses, and not too many dogs, cats, but I did large animals, uh,
Mhm.
goats, sheep, cows, that kind of stuff. And I did have to give it up because it was just too
Yeah.
much. It was breaking my heart. And just focus on this work, my one-on-one communication work. But I do a lot of meditation every morning before I get out of bed and
Mhm.
every night, and for a few minutes before I start each session.
Okay, good.
Clear
That's
my
good.
mind, and
Yeah.
that keeps me balanced and a very good therapist.
Yeah, okay. I have a question as we're coming to the end of the show. I have a
Okay.
question I always ask all my guests, and that would be if you could choose someone, now person or animal, living or dead, and who would you choose to have dinner with? Besides me, of course, who would you choose to have dinner with and
Oh,
communicate with?
an amazing question. And um, who would I want to have dinner with? Living or dead?
Yes. Mhm.
I would say our ex-president Obama.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wonderful. And, he had 2 beautiful dogs in the White House with
Yes,
him.
he did. He did. He did. He did. He did.
Mhm.
Um, Unrelated to animals, but just well, actually him or Martin Luther King,
Mhm. You know,
probably. Yes.
Yeah, you're the first one to say they would like to have dinner with him. Most of the other people who have talked about the Obamas said they want to have dinner with Michelle.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I think probably Martin Luther King, because I idolized him growing up, and I think that he helped to give me the open heart that I still have now for humanity and all living sentient beings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of my idol growing up.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And there's so many other questions I could ask you. I hope that you'll come back again. And I want to give another plug to your fantastic book, The
I
Afterlife.
want to read your books. Those look fantastic.
And all of my books are now going on Audible. So I
Wonderful. Are you narrating or?
I narrated one book, and then the others have been professionally done.
Nice.
And it's been fun because it seems like it's a pretty big trend these days, because people are in the cars listening to their Audible. And it's and I've started to become addicted myself to doing that.
That's great. Congratulations to you as well.
Okay. Well, for now, we'd like to thank you so much for being with us, and be sure to go to candycanecooper.com, and we put that right on the screen right now as I'm plugging it.
Here's my book. So I can see it.
So for now, thank you so much for entering the No Wine Zone with us, Candy, and for sharing your amazing experience with animals that we all love so much. So now, for all of my listeners, it's time to be sure that you stop whining, and then you need to start smiling. And if that doesn't work, then you can just start eating chocolate. Lots and lots of chocolate. And I have to go because I have to get Ginger Ale's dinner ready tonight. And guess what? We'll be having tuna fish.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you. I really enjoyed our time together today.
Oh, this was fun. And now from the Glitter Granny, take care and stay safe until we meet again.
Bye-bye.
We want to thank you for listening to January Jones Sharing Success Stories. Always remember Ms. Jones' personal mantra: if you can think it, you can do it. That's what all of our guests have done with their lives, and so can you. You are the ultimate success coach in your own life. All you need to do will be to start sharing your own story with your family and friends. We hope that our guest stories will encourage you to explore an equation in your future that will combine your creativity plus connecting with others will enable you to be successful too. Always remember, your passion plus your purpose will equal prosperity as you explore the wonderful world of January Jones.